Hello again, welcome back. Here we're going to continue working on the challenges for lesson 1. So far we've created our app here and we've got the category buttons displaying. We've massaged the data and mapped and filtered and reduced it. Now what we'd like to do is we'd like to display, besides the buttons, we'd like to display the products underneath, okay? So let's do that, right? So I've got a list right here. This data array is an array or list of objects, and every one of those objects has the following properties. It's got ID, name, category, description, price, rating, and units, okay? So keep that in mind. We got to remember those names, right? Because this is like how our data is arranged and how we're going to have to access it, right? With these exact spelling: name, ID, category, description, price, rating, and units. Okay, let's see what we got here. So this is getting pretty complicated. Maybe we'll come back later and we'll kind of clean it up a little bit. But I think before we do that, I'm going to add a div here around the buttons. And that'll be good for us because we could style this div separately or do something with the buttons. It kind of groups them, right? So this is kind of nice to have these guys all grouped into this div, right? Let's do the same thing with the products. So I'm going to add a div here, and all the products will go inside this div, okay? So I'm going to scroll this up a little bit, and what are we going to do here? Let's put the curly brackets in there, and we're going to map again. So I'm going to say data.map. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to take my array of products and turn them into an array of JSX, or HTML syntax stuff, right? Same thing we did here. I took the array of objects and I turned them into an array of buttons. Okay. So let's do that again. So I'm going to do data.map. I'll put the argument in here is a function, okay? And this function is going to take in an object. And since we only have the object there, we can remove the parentheses, right? And then it's going to return some JSX. So we'll do return parentheses, and then since we're using the parentheses here because this is going to be a multi-line return statement, okay? And then maybe every product there will be inside a div. I'm getting an error here because I didn't return anything, right? So I gotta, as soon as I have something to return, it'll go away, okay? So now we don't see anything. There's 100 divs there, actually. We could even inspect it, right? So I made 100 empty divs, right? So if I look in the body here and I go to this div there's my app div, and inside the app div you can see there's the paragraph, there's the div with the buttons, and this div has all the 100 products in it, but they're just empty right now, okay? So that's working pretty good, but now we need to display something. So remember we had name, category, description, price, rating, and units to work with. So let's do something with that. Maybe every product will have a H2 as the title, okay? And I'll use the curly braces, and we'll say object.name. Okay, so now there's the list of all my 100 product names, okay? That doesn't look too bad, right? Yeah, it looks like about 100. Okay, and maybe underneath the name we also want to include the a paragraph with the description. I didn't, in my sample app, I didn't have the description in there, but maybe we'll include it here. Oh, there we go. So there's a description under each one. And then maybe underneath that one, I'll also include another paragraph, and we'll put the price here. So I'll say object.price. So Zulab, preserving systematic core for 1207. Okay, and if you want to include some other things like the category name, you could include that too. Why don't we do this? Why don't we say, why don't we do that here? We'll do a small tag. This represents small text. It's kind of like the fine print. So let's do a small tag, and let's say category is, and we'll do object dot category, and then we get category as toys. Okay, and if you want, we could also put units in here and put, I forget, I think it was called units, wasn't it? Let me look again. Oh yeah, units, right? Maybe, actually, maybe rating would be even better. Let's do rating instead. Right, and then we'll do object dot rating. Yeah, category is toys, rating is 3. Kids rating is 3, 3.1, rating is 1. Rank does not get a good rating. Go figure, right? Opella, oh my god, rating is in the basement. That's terrible. BitChip, on the other hand, right, is 4.5. Yeah, these names are all random. So job, that's like a funny name, right? So anyway, so that's kind of working, right? Looks pretty good. So that's challenge number 9 right there. So we're actually making pretty good progress. If you got through all these videos and you got to this point, you got 9 challenges complete, right? So when we've made the products, though, it kind of mentions adding a class name. So one of the steps that we're going to want to do later down here is to style the product. So we've kind of got this, but what I want to do is I want to style them, right? Because all mine are in a column here, but maybe I want to make them into a grid, right? So to do that, what we should do is we should pay back a little bit of our work here, a little bit of our technical debt by doing a little bit of work, not making new things, but kind of rearranging the code that we have here. Okay, this is getting pretty long. So one of the things we can do is we can add class names. So if we want to add styles, we'll have to add a class name to something. So I'm going to leave app with its class name, and I like to use the pattern where I use the same name of the component as the name of the class. Okay. So the second thing that we can do, and we could put a name on these guys too, but I'm actually going to move these. Okay. So another thing that we can do is we can break our components up into smaller components and then import those components. So what I'd like to do is do that here. So this is looking pretty good, but I think that the product list can be its own list of components, okay? So I'm going to make a new file, okay? And I'll save it, and I'll call it product list.js, okay? And I saved it to my component or my source folder, right? And what I want to do here is I'm going to add a new component. So I'm going to import the data because we'll need it. So I'm going to say import data from ./data, okay? Not data JSON, just data, right? And then I'm going to add a function, and it'll have the same name as the component, as the file. So I'll say product list, okay? And this one will just be the list of products, okay? So it'll just list all of the products here. So then I'm going to say return, and what I want to do is get that code that we had in our app component. So I want to take all of this out of here, right? So this is this div with this block here is the list of products. So I'll cut all this out of here. Like this bottom div needs to stay there, right? Okay. So we'll cut all that out, and then I'll go to product list here and I'll paste it, okay? And maybe I'll spend a little time and format this so it looks good again, right? I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to export this. Export product list, okay? Oh, actually, let's make this the default export. So we'll say export default product list, okay? And to use this product list over here now in our app, because it's missing, we'll go to the top and we'll import it. So I'll say import product list from ./product list. Okay, so there's our product list there. I guess we can get rid of this stuff now. And then I'm going to use the product list here like this. Actually, I got to put it in the in the brackets. Since I don't have a closing tag, like there's nothing, I guess I do have a closing tag, but I don't need it because there's nothing between the two tags. What you can do is you can self-close the tag like this. So if we put the slash inside the single tag, the opening tag, then we don't need to have the closing one, right? And now all my products come back. So this, in this component, you know, here in the app component, this single product list instance represents the whole list, okay? Okay, so my challenge for you now is to do the same thing with the category button list, right? So that would be these guys right here. Okay, so all of this, move this to its own component. Okay, and then we'll cover that in the next video. And again, thanks for watching.